or more on at least 2 federal student loans, then you may qualify for new programs offered by the Department of Education. These programs can reduce your interest, lower your payments, and possibly qualify you for loan forgiveness. If you have $10,000 or more and at least 2 federal student loans and currently not in school, you may qualify for one of these programs. Call now to check your eligibility. Student loan advisors are standing by to help you determine if you qualify for these new programs. They can help you reduce your interest, lower your payment, and even forgive a portion of your student loan debt. Take control of your financial future. Make this free 5-minute free call now to Nationwide Student Loans and learn how you can reduce your student loan debt.
800-439-7851, 800-439-7851, 800-439-7851, 800-439-7851.
Hey, Mike, how's the house coming along?
Needs a ton of work. The pipes are leaking. Needs a new roof. The AC just broke. I just don't have time to do it all myself. You know anyone?
Oh, just ask Home Advisor. They match you with the best local pros for any home project.
Cool.
Yeah, you can read reviews and book appointments online.
What's it cost?
Actually, Home Advisor is always free to use.
Nice. I'll check it out.
Go to homeadvisor.com or download the free app.
Welcome back to the show, Picks and Parlays, here on the Sports Byline Broadcast Network. I'm your host, Nick Geber. It's great to be with you, as I am each and every weekday from 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific, right here on Sports Byline, and of course, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. We stream live video. We'd love to hear from you. All you have to do is go onto any one of those social media platforms and put a comment in the comment section, and we will see it, and our producer, Andrew, will put it up on the screen, and we'll endeavor to respond to it. All right, well, I promised you that we would do some NFL, so let's bring up our expert handicapper, the Duff Man. It is time for the Duff Man to arrive, and the Duff Man indeed doth cometh. Joe Duffy, you ready for some NFL?
I am ready, jolly old Saint Nick. Let's make a bunch of money on the American football pitch.
I love it as I watch the more European variety, Liverpool tonking Everton today. Very good stuff. All right. Let's get to it, shall we? We have curated 3 of the finest NFL matches for our viewers and listeners' personal edification. So let's get to it, figure out how to make some money. Let's start with the Chargers at the Jaguars. 4-8 Chargers. They're 3-8-1 against the spread. They can be their own worst enemy. That penalty was so ridiculous they took on Sunday. I forget the player that caused the interference. It was a bonehead, stupid play, and he has to be wondering, how am I going to be punished for this level of stupidity? They're on a 3-game losing streak, 6-1 straight up, and 7-0 against the spread versus the Jags, though, since 2010. For the Jags, 4-8, 5-7 against the spread. They're a better team with Gardner Minshew leaving them, which does sound like, I don't know, some form of nut, I will be honest with you. Don't you think? I mean, really? I'll have a... hand me a cup of the Minshews there. Oh, very nice. Thank you. I like the skinned ones. They're 4-4 straight up, and they're 5-3 against the spread with him versus 0-4 straight up and against the spread with Foles. We've got LA -1 favorites, total 44.5. Help me out with this one, Duff Man. I want to make some money to celebrate Tupu the first day.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I got my drinking started early. I think we were talking about the Bengals and the Browns. Now we're at the Chargers and the Jaguars. Which game we're on, the Chargers and the Jaguars now?
Yes, we're at the Chargers and the Jaguars. Yes, we never did get to the Bengals. We were going to do Bengals and Browns. It's on the list, but we'll get there later. So calm down, my good man.
Right, yes. No, but both of these teams, this is a case of using the odds makers' knowledge against them. Both of these teams are 4-8 straight up, but I've said time and time again that there is nothing more deceptive than straight up records when it comes to sports handicapping, because we're picking against the spread. And in fact, the Chargers did open up as a 1-point favorite, but with the Jacksonville quarterback change, they're up to 3 in some areas. So the odds makers are telling you the 2 teams that have the same record, that the Chargers are anywhere from 4 to 6 points better than the Jaguars are. And we use that against them. When you have road favorites, despite not having a better straight up record It's 61, 43, and 5. That would favor the Chargers. Also, when a team's playing consecutive road games and they're coming off of a loss, they're very good bets. And that makes sense. You know, teams are going to say, all right, maybe they're road weary. They played poorly last week. But such teams are 332, 244, or 241, and 11. And that would benefit the Chargers. And I like to bet on unpredictability. We're going to talk about that in another game. But Phillip Rivers, he tops my list of predictably unpredictable quarterbacks. Look, everybody says he's going to the Hall of Fame. I guess he is. He's not a Hall of Fame quarterback to me, but he can look like a second stringer one week, a Hall of Famer the next week. So when you least expect it, now that he's struggling, this is probably when he's going to come up with a big game on the road. I like betting on that unpredictability. I will say I'm a little bit nervous. You know, road favorites off of 3 straight losses, just 2-11 straight up recently, 3-10 straight up, 2-11 ATS, and 3-10 straight up. Again, as a favorite, so that might imply that you look for the Jaguars on the money line. That's only over the last 3 years. Still, all in all, the Jaguars, I think they got to go with Minshew long term. It's a little bit of a setback, I think, short term. But the Chargers, I'm going to bet on their unpredictability. Now they're going to explode. I'm going to use the odds makers' knowledge against them, like I said.
Well, you use it against them, and let's make some money. Because I have a big shopping list for the holidays.
Yes.
By the way, Ralphie de Conglia, excuse me, Ralphie, if I butchered your name. He asked us on, I believe that's YouTube, if we like the Lakers tonight. Hang on, we're going to get to some NBA. Trust me, we'll get to NBA next with Smarty Pants. We've got more NFL to get to. Duffman, you want to do Bengals or Browns? You seem so anxious to talk about the worst team in the league. And the team really is going to lock in the toilet award if they lose this game. Let's talk about it. The Browns 5-7, 4-7-1 against the spread. They're hoping to get to the playoffs for the first time in 17 years. You see, that's okay. I'm going to wax poetic about this another time. Let's get to the game because I know people don't want to hear me talk. So they lost 20-13 last outing to Pittsburgh, snapping a 3-game win streak. Baker Mayfield fully recovered from his hand injury. That, I think, is the question mark for this game. We've got to ask ourselves about that. And, you know, who do you prefer, Baker Mayfield or Curtis Mayfield? That's the other question mark. All right, the Bengals 1-11, 5-6-1 against the spread. Quarterback Andy Dalton's return marked the first victory of the year, beating the Jets 22-6. Hint, hint, hint. Maybe something to be learned there. I don't know. The defense is starting to look a little better as well. They've gone under in 6 of the last 7, but they're still crap. The Browns are favored here. Big favorites, -8, total 43. Is it possible to make money when a team is as bad as the Bengals?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, again, you really got to win ugly in these sports. For the most part, especially in professional sports, betting on bad teams is a good thing. Betting against good teams is a good thing. And in the case here, look, going against teams off a win as a home underdog is actually a good thing. That would benefit Cleveland. But going against teams like the Bengals, 369, 285, and 14 again if they're off if they win as a home underdog. But I'm going with teams that have lost at least 7 of their last 8. Gets back to what your question was. Very good bet, 167, 109, and 2. And the Browns, if they aren't the poster child of a team you just can't trust, the ultimate box of chocolate teams this year perhaps, betting against mediocre big favorites that have won at least 2 of their last 3 games, a very good go against, 75, 37, and 1. Of course, that would benefit the Bengals as well. Yeah, Andy Dalton, not a fan of his at all, but he's better than that Finley clown was. And sometimes I think, when underachieving quarterbacks get a wake-up call, which he got from being benched, maybe, they could be a little bit improved. And he's played his best against Cleveland. 15 career starts against the Browns, 11-4 straight up, 27 touchdown passes, just 12 interceptions. Now, granted, usually the Bengals were a better team than the Browns. That isn't the case here. So you got to keep that in the perspective. But still, all in all, I just do think that this is way too many points. I'm going to bet on these 2 boxes of chocolates to be unpredictable. And
so you're going to take the under. You're taking the under on this one?
No, I'm taking Cincinnati. I'm taking Cincinnati. But
okay.
But as far as the total, the odds makers are telling you points are going to be tough to come by. So 8.5 points looms large.
All right, you got it. Let's move along. We got 90 seconds, so I'll skip the preamble. Steelers, Cardinals. I got Pittsburgh favorites -1.5, total 43.5. Fire away.
Yeah, Cliff Kingsbury, he is what we thought he was. Lost 5 in a row straight up. We talked about it with Chelsea. Didn't really understand this hiring at all. They're at least 2-2-1 against the spread during that span. Give Mike Tomlin credit. I was kind of critical of them when they had the triplets. They were always disappointed in the playoffs. Now, with all these injuries, he's got this team contending for the playoffs. He's your coach of the year so far. Duck Hodges, though, making a second start, going to travel West Coast. James Conner might come back. Juju Smith might come back. But again, it might be a step back before they take 2 steps forward. Getting guys in and out of the lineup. But Marquise Pouncey's probably going to be back from that ugly incident still. Pittsburgh's traveling. They've been underachieving. You got a free agent quarterback starting on the road, traveling 3,000 miles. Arizona.
All right, I was going to say, Duffy, do that voodoo that you do so well. What are we taking? Cardinals?
Arizona.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Arizona it is. All right, Joe Duffy. You can find Joe at picksandparlays.net. His expert picks right there for you. And type in promo code HOLIDAY for 15% off. I'll be right back after this.
Not too long ago, it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank, didn't it? For a vacation or a new car. But today, withdrawing your own cash has become risky. Pat Boone here for Swiss America. According to The Secret War, a new Swiss America white paper, I learned that all banks are now required to spy on you and me for the government, and then report any financial behavior deemed suspicious or unusual. You must read The Secret War. It's free. Truth is, I believe the government's new war against cash is really a war against us all. But the secret is now out. So please, get and read The Secret War.
Pick up your phone and call right now. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. Once again, that's 800-932-5517.
This is an urgent health notice for all residents suffering from back, neck, knee, and wrist pain. You may qualify for a pain-relieving brace at little or no cost to you, but the deadline is fast approaching. Simply call the Health Alert Hotline now.
You heard right. You may qualify for a pain-relieving back, neck, knee, or wrist brace. These items may even be covered by Medicare or your private insurance. The Health Alert Hotline is your brace company. These specialized braces have been tested for pain relief. Call us toll-free right now to determine your eligibility and to learn how to use your private insurance or Medicare to minimize your out-of-pocket cost. Don't wait. If the deadline passes, you may lose your opportunity to get a pain-relieving back, neck, knee, or wrist brace at little or no cost to you.
800-430-9571. 800-430-9571. 800-430-9571. That's 800-430-9571.
Attention business owners. Now is the perfect time to start saving money on your cable TV bill for your business. We can give you packages with up to 90 great channels and save your business a ton of cash. And if you call right now, you can learn how to get free equipment and free installation. Now you have choices. It's time to start saving money on your cable TV bill for your business. And call today and get 90 channels plus free equipment and free installation. Smart business owners like you all across the country are consolidating and saving money on their cable TV, internet, and phone service for their business. So now's the perfect time. This may be a limited time offer to the first 100 people that call right now. So please save money and call now.
800-470-7113. 800-470-7113. 800-470-7113. That's 800-470-7113.
Welcome back to the show. Picks and Parlays here on the Sports Byline Broadcast Network, also streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. I'm your host, at Nick Geber. Find me on Twitter I'd love to chat with you, find out where you're putting your money, what your bets are, so I can copy them and hopefully make a lot of money. Just kidding. I have my own mind. Well, maybe I don't, but we'll see how that goes. Well, we promised you some NBA, and I said we were going to have the smartest guy in the room, but he's not really in the room. I suppose the smartest guy in Canada is going to join us. Let's welcome to the show Alex Smarty Pants Smart. Talk some NBA. How's it going there, eh?
It's going good, eh? Really
good. Very good. Well, let's crack open a Molson and let's chat. So talk some NBA, shall we? Are you ready, Mr. Smarty Pants?
I am as ready as I've ever been.
Okay, great. Well, let's start with the Sixers at the Wizards. Sixers 15-6, 9-11-1 against the spread. By the way, Al Ninos, I'm going to interrupt here, on YouTube says Lakers Jazz should be a good one. No Conley for the Jazz. Anything Lakers will always be good, Al. You know that. And Al, my Premier League picks today, did very well. Okay, let's get back to the Sixers for a minute. They're on a 4-game winning streak. They won last outing against Utah, 103-94. They're 5-6 on the road so far. And they're 1-4 against the spread on the road the last 5 games. Jordan Richardson definitely out for this one. And for the Wizards, 6-13, 10-8-1 against the spread. Lost to Orlando, 120-127 was their 3rd loss in a row. They're 3-14 straight up at home and 1-5 against the spread in the last 6. Smarty Pants, I've got the 76ers are minus 6-point favorites, 232.5. How do you like this one? Because it is, before I ask you, I always ask myself, what would Tupou the First say? But rather than ask Tupou because he's dead, I'm going to ask you.
Well, I'm leaning on the under here. And I'll tell you, every time we look at a Washington Wizards game, we automatically think over. I mean, this is just an assumption we're making. And it's probably a pretty good assumption at this point in the season because all they do is just run and gun with reckless abandon. Do they try to play defense? I think they do. They're just horrible at it. And we have a Sixers team that is, only ranked 19th in offense, 4th best in defense, and they're, in the lower half of the league in pace at 19th. So we have a team here that's going to come in looking to slow this game down a little bit to try to get the Wizards out of their flow. And, the superior team is obviously the Sixers, in my opinion. And I think they'll implement their will here and slow the game down enough to keep it on the low side of the number.
Well, I mean, you think the Sixers are 15-6 and the Wizards are 6-13. So I would agree. Most likely the Sixers would be the better team in this matchup. But you are going to take the under because you think the pace of the game is not going to support this sort of score, right?
No, I mean, obviously Washington, like I said, is going to run a gun. But, yeah, the pace is going to be a lot slower because Philadelphia will force the game to slow down.
Well, I think it's a good analysis. So we like the under 232.5 here for the Sixers at Wizards. Next up, the Rockets at the Raptors. The Rockets 13-7, 10-10 against the spread. Coming off a 133-135 loss to the Spurs there. 500 on the road, though. Dwayne House Jr. is a question mark for this game. Total's gone over in 4 of the last 5 for the Rockets, and the Raptors are 15-5, 13-7 against the spread. Lost to the Heat, snapped a 7-game win streak. They're impressive, by the way. 9-1 at home. I mean, that is more than impressive. That's this close to perfection. It's 90%. Total's gone over in 6 of the last 8 for the Raptors. Defending champs, they're favored only by 2, though, which I find interesting. Total at 230. What do you think?
Well, the lines makers are obviously saying this is a pick 'em, and that's where we're at. And I tend to disagree with them on that, but we'll see where that goes sometime overnight. Right now, I'm sort of concentrating on the over. I do like the over here. The Raptors can just about score with anybody, even without. Now, I know everybody thought that was the end of them. They were over, that their championship run from last year was not going to even come close to repeating itself this year, but they're proving everybody wrong, and they can run and gun with the best of teams. Now, I know they're off that loss against Miami, but that pace increased as the game went on, and I was kind of surprised by that. Now, tonight they're going to go against a Houston team that's ranked 1st in the league in offense at 120.9 points per game, and a defense that is unfortunately just atrocious at this point, ranked 25th out of 30, and their pace is ranked third, and they're going to come at the Raptors with everything. But the Raptors have the ability to come back here and run with the Rockets, and we're going to have some rocket fuel here, and we're going to go over the total.
Yeah, I would think so too. I mean, this is going to be this. These are two of the more higher tempo teams in the league, and so I think the over's a great bet. By the way, as a fan, I'd like to point this out. This is also probably a great game to watch too. This should be one of the more fun games of the evening. By the way, Al Ninos, he points out Leicester City scored in stoppage time to go 2-0 up and cover for us. If you watched our picks. And Cristiano Sibosi, my Nigerian friend, he's waiting for my Week 15 Premier League picks. Friday on this show, Cristianos, I'm going to give you my Week 15 Premier League picks. I promise you we'll have Al Ninos on to do that with me. All right, let's move along. Suns at Pelicans. The Suns 9-10, 11-8 against the spread, coming off a 109-104 win versus Charlotte that snapped a 3-game losing streak for them. Ricky Rubio's probable, but Aaron Baines is definitely out with that calf injury. And for the Pelicans, 6-15, 9-12 against the spread. This is just an awful team. I just don't know what else to say, really. They're in the midst of a 6-game stinking it up losing streak. Most recent loss was 97-118 defeat at the hands of Dallas. Derek Favors is a question mark, and I tell you what, he could certainly do him a big favor and actually play, all right? Get rid of that question mark. They need you, Derek, all right? Pelicans, surprisingly enough, favorites, though. 2-point favorites at home. Unless I'm reading something wrong. I don't understand that. I'm going to ask Smarty Pants for an explanation of that one. Total 232.5. Is there not something to be had there, Smarty Pants?
There's something. I think there's something to be had here on the total. I think as far as the line goes, it's more of like a flipping, because I don't think even the lines makers know which way this game is going.
Yeah.
So
the Suns aren't that great either. I mean, I think it's not like they're playing the Raptors or the Lakers or someone or the Clippers. I mean, they're playing the Suns.
Yeah, the Suns don't have a tradition of winning. So, when you back a team like that on any line, whether it's the money line, well, this is essentially a money line pick 'em. But yeah, I'd stay away from that one. The total is interesting, but I'm kind of looking at it, I think, from a contrarian point of view, because the Pelicans are ranked 29th in the league and points per game allowed at 118.8. And, they're doing some scoring, even though their conversion rates are kind of crappy. And their pace is ranked 5th in the league. So they're gonna come at you. And are they going to convert on a consistent basis? Now, I was looking at this game, and I was just considering some options here when I was looking at the total, and I was thinking to myself, now you've got a team now like the Suns, and they've got some injury woes, and they're always banged up anyway. It seems like they're banged up every year, and they're 6th in the league in offense and 18th in points per game allowed, and they're a slower paced team at around 10th. Not too much, but considering they're only 10th, they're only scoring 114.4 points per game, which is not great. Now, I know this sounds contradictory, and I'm going to be a little bit contradictory and contrarian here. I just feel that this game, the numbers we're talking like a possession off. Now, I know for some guys that might be too much, but when we're talking a line that should be 229, according to me anyway, we have value here, and like I said, that's contrarian.
All right. So you're going to be contrarian. By the way, Al Ninos points out that line's now -3, by the way. So it's widened even some more, which is interesting. I mean, I guess the Suns aren't really that good, so it is somewhat up in the air. Smarty Pants, we have just 2 minutes left. Very quickly, I know there was one other NBA game that I hadn't prepped for, but you had. Can you give us your pick on that one for a minute and just tell us which one it is? So it's the only other one, I think, for
the Knicks.
Oh, okay.
The Knicks. What can I say about the Knicks? You want me to actually give you a pick on the next game?
Come on. Yeah, what's wrong with you? Come on, man. We're here to make money.
The Knicks are going to upset. They're going to upset the visitor here. Yeah, they are absolutely going to win. Straight up.
Straight up. Pick the Knicks. And what's that paying right now? Do you know? Pick them?
Yeah, that's it.
Pick the Knicks.
You can tell I'm passing on that game 100%.
Yeah,
I don't want to
absolutely.
go anywhere near it.
All right. Okay. So what do you have up on the site right now for us, Alex?
We've got some NHL. We have some college basketball totals. We have some NBA, of course. And like my old saying goes, if it moves, I hit it. So wherever there's value, I'm gonna have a selection up for everybody.
All right. Once again, you can find Alex and all of his picks up there at picksandparlays.net. And I encourage you to go out and load up your basket with lots of the top level sports information you can get, because that will make you a better sports bettor. And my guest today, Alex Smart, there's none better. We have 35 expert cappers at the site, of which Alex is definitely considered one of the experts. Alex, thank you so very much. We'll speak to you soon.
Appreciate it.
Happy Tupo the first day to you, sir. All right, coming up next, we're going to be talking college football. Look, all these championship games are upon us. And so we will be joined by Higgy Smalls. We're going to talk a little college football championship games, and we're covering some great ones. Ohio at Central Michigan. I know everybody's super excited about that one. But also Georgia, LSU, Virginia, Clemson, and Hawaii at Boise State. Stay with us here. If you're following us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, we'd love to hear from you. All you have to do is fill out the comment section. And if you miss any part of this show, you can always catch replays on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or on our podcast at the Believe Network. Once again, 15% off everything on the site. Use promo code HOLIDAY. Be right back with Higgy after this.
Using an overpriced trash bag? Pricey, pricey, pricey! A bag that breaks? Whippy, whippy, whippy! Or a smelly bag? Stinky, stinky, stinky! Time to switch to hefty, ultra-strong trash bags, always at an ultra-low price. Hefty, hefty, hefty! They're our best bags yet, and they cost less than Glad Force Flex, where sold head-to-head, so you'll be happy, happy, happy! Hefty Ultra Strong with Arm & Hammer odor control. Also available in heavy-duty black bags. Hefty, hefty, hefty!
At Aaron's, we love the holiday spirit. The kindness, the giving, the sharing. For us, that spirit has no season. It's always there, and those doing good all year round. That's why we approve good people other stores won't. Your credit isn't the best? Okay. Need more time to pay? Let's work it out. Want flexible payment options? Sure. Lease to own top brands. Delivery is free. Because good people always deserve better. Aaron's. Easy, beautiful, affordable.
Attention to anyone that's written a book or wants to write a book. The process is not that complicated. Take a first step. Even if you write a page a day, you'll build momentum and your book will become a reality. The hard part is getting it published. That's when you need to call Page Publishing. They've got hundreds and hundreds of thank yous from different new authors, just like you. They make the process of publishing your new book and getting it sold online a simple process. You can learn how simple it is right now by calling for your free Page Publishing New Author Submission Kit. One quick 3-minute phone call, that's all it takes to get free information and learn how you can get your book published. Pick up your phone right now and call us 24 hours a day at this number, 800-603-0885, 800-603-0885, 800-603-0885. That's 800-603-0885.
Message and data rates may apply. See purple.com for terms and conditions.
Do you, or does someone you know, sweat the bed? Do you ever wake up feeling like you've been sleeping on a slip and slide? Sweating the bed is a serious but a common problem that affects your sleep, health, and happiness. Plus, it's just plain gross. But it's not you. It's your mattress. Fortunately, there is a cure. It's called Purple. Purple is the only mattress with a scientifically engineered smart comfort grid. This patented technology is designed to let air flow freely so you sleep cool. Side effects of sleeping on Purple include sleeping better, feeling better, and, well, honestly, smelling better. Try the Purple mattress risk-free for 100 nights and never sweat the bed again. Take advantage of our best Black Friday sale ever and save up to $400 when you buy a mattress and premium sleep bundle by texting SLEEPY to 84888. Sleep great through the holidays and get up to $400 off by texting SLEEPY to 84888. That's SLEEPY to 84888.
Well, if you've been waiting eagerly for more of our college football championship previews and betting tips, strategies, and free picks, well, wait no more. The interminability wait of the wait is over, as I will welcome to the show What's that? Ah, our guest has dropped off. Well, we will wait for our guest to come back. We're going to be covering 4 games. We're going to be covering some college football championships. By the way, find me on Twitter at Nick Geber, Nickgeber. We're waiting on Higgy Smalls to show up, and if he doesn't, we'll have a pinch hitter for you, because we always have a pitcher on standby or someone ready to pinch hit if we need to. Do we have Higgy yet? All right. Well, I'm sure we'll get somebody. We're going to cover Virginia, Clemson, Georgia, LSU, Hawaii, Boise State, and Miami versus Central Michigan in the MAC championship. I suppose that would be the crap game to look for, because neither of these teams have a particularly good record up to this point. Miami of Ohio 7-5, 6-6 against the spread. They look to be struggling the second half of the season, got underway with 3 straight wins in the conference. That got them the chance to play for the MAC Daddy Championship. They have, however, lost 7 of the last 8 to Central Michigan, so it doesn't really bode very well for the Red Hawks. And the odds makers agree. The line has moved a full 4 points from -2.5 to -6.5, and Central Michigan have got 8-4, 9-2, 9-2-1 against the spread, and they've gone 6-1 straight up and against the spread in the last 7. They were 1-11 last season. They've gone from the doghouse to the MAC penthouse, I suppose would put it. Central Michigan, I mentioned, opened at 2.5 favorites. They've gone down to 6.5. Total is 53. I'm not quite sure what the value there is. Do we have someone on? No. Okay. The next one that we're going to cover is Hawaii at Boise State. This is a Mountain West matchup. Really, the two of the we're going to be talking SEC. We're going to be talking ACC. Hey. And there's Higgy. Higgy, let's get back to...
what happened there?
I have no idea. I know it was 2-0 the first day, and I just wondered maybe if you'd overdone it a little bit with the celebrations. But
it came out of commercial, like it was waiting for it to come out commercial, and then it just there was nothing there, and I'm like, you know what?
Well, it's all right. We gave you back. I gave my preamble for the Miami at Central Michigan, the big Mac Daddy championship of them all. I know the one everyone's been waiting for. This one is Central Michigan.
We're hopping right into the MAC. Let's go.
Yeah, right. They've moved from 2.5 point favorites all the way down to 6.5 point favorites. Total of 53. Higgy, help us out with this one.
This is how we're starting off our championship Saturday, high noon at Ford Field.
So we'll start with the rubbish first, then we'll go to less rubbish, and we'll work our way all the way up to the SEC.
Yeah, you know what? Listen, it's the MAC. People aren't, you not be very excited, but how about hats off to Jim McElwain. Comes in here. This team was 1-11 last year, and here they are in a MAC championship game. 8-1-1 ATS run for these guys. 41 points in 5 of the last 7 games. He's got it going on. He got unceremoniously fired from Florida. His first 2 years here, the guy was SEC East, first place. He got the championship game. All right, you go 3-4. I guess. Listen, it's Florida. You got to do better than that. But he's a good coach. 10-2. His final year at Colorado State, wherever he was at there. The guy could coach. Here we go. 8-4. This game here again. It's steamed up here. The line. Miami, Ohio, 2-5 on the road. And their last 2 games. How about this? 2017 win over Akron, where you're basically a 30-point favorite, and then you're on the road. You're playing Ball State. You lose 41-27. In a game, you're a dog. That Ball State finished 5-7. So to a 4-win team, you are a 3.5-point dog. I mean, listen, it might be one of those low-hanging fruit, too good to be trues here, but Central Michigan, Chippewas here. We're going to lay the touchdown, 6.5, 7. Central Michigan, nice Cinderella season, first year for McElwain here, and the kids are believing. Again, 45 points, 5 of the last 7 games. They're putting up the offense. And I just think they're clicking right now. Well, let's lay it. Let's lay it. Miami, again, 2-5 on the road. They're on the road here. I don't know. The last 2 games haven't looked too sharp. I get overlooking Akron. I could see, but 2017 and then losing to a 4-win Ball State team. No, we'll start off our championship Saturday with a nice early winner at noon o'clock with our lunch. Central Michigan, get it done here.
Yeah, I mean the Chip was going from 1-11 last season to 8-4 and in the championship game. It really is quite a turnaround.
And that's point. Whether it's the coaching or not, I mean, it's not like he recruited all these guys. It's not like he's starting 40 freshmen come in on his team. These are leftover guys from the other coaches, and listen, 8-4 is a great big turnaround, and they're getting better as the season goes on, which is always something you want to look at, especially from the mid-major level. It's really important to me, I think.
Right. Okay, Hawaii at Boise State. This is the not quite as crap championship. This is we're moving up just a small. Believe me, it's just a small notch. Okay. Boise State 11-1 though, great record. 7-5 against the spread. They're 6-0 straight up and against the spread versus Hawaii, winning by an average of 37.5 points. I mean, that is something. That's a lot of points. The only loss was a close 28-25 loss on the road to BYU. They beat Hawaii by 22 points earlier in the season. That, for me, is always the marker, right? Hawaii, they're coming into this game on a 4-0 straight-up run, 3-0 against the spread. The Warriors, though, there's 0-7 straight up and 2-5 against the spread in the last 7 road games against Boise. So all the stats are pointing to a bit of a thumping here. Total is 64, which is some nice pointage, and Boise heavy favorites at 17. What's the best bet here? How do we make money on this one?
Yeah, well, I'm seeing 13.5 at 64.5 as the numbers. Hawaii, nice season for them, 9-4. Basically, I faded them last week. I figured, they're locked into the championship game. They're not going to want to go and get hurt, and just but little, didn't pay off for me there. Boise, 6-1 here at home. This is their fourth straight. Not fourth straight, I should say 4 of the 6 years Mountain West Championship, but only 2-2, 2 straight up wins here. 0-3 against the number in those previous 3 games coming into the fourth one here. So 2 defensive battles too, 17-14, 19-16. Obviously, that is not a Hawaii trademark. They're not a defensive team at all. 59-37 in the first meeting. Although I'm liking the points here. Hawaii's with the house money. I don't know if we're going to see the 14 again. It did come down. But I'm gonna lean to the dog here. I think point wise, I know Hawaii's they're not terrible on the mainland this year. They went 3-2, which is always a good sign when they come over here. Usually, they're not that good. So listen, 13.5, 14 points maybe over the total for sure. As well, listen, it's Idaho. Who knows? We're doing the show here on Wednesday. Saturday we might have snow there. It might be a little different. Watch. You got to pay attention to some of these things, but. Nice weather. I'm going to say Hawaii. I'm going to take the points. I'm going to take the over here. I think it'll be a wild game for sure. Wild shootout.
Points and over. Okay, let's go.
Yes.
ACC Championship. We'll go.
All right.
We're moving up the ladder here.
Sure you don't
want
to go to Sunbelt? We go to Sunbelt? No.
No, I don't have Sunbelt. I got the SEC.
Big Sky.
ACC. Virginia Clemson.
I know. I'm just throwing out a hook because you're
Virginia Clemson. I think I dated her once. I don't remember. Okay. Virginia 9-3, 6-5-1 against the spread. Haven't been great on the road. All 3 losses have come away from Charlottesville. I guess the rioting. I don't know. 4-0 straight up and 3-1 against the spread. Are there good people on all sides of this game? Okay, never mind. 4-0 straight up and 3-1 against the spread the last 4. Although all have been at home. Clemson. I mean, it's basically Virginia are a great home team. I think that's what I'm here. That's what my hours of copious research have pointed me to. Clemson, on the other hand, they're just a great team. 12-0, 9-3 against the spread. They haven't really been challenged though in the last couple of months at all. They're the defending champs. They won the last 7 games by 30 points or more. Is this really just a tune-up for the playoffs, Higgs? Because it's 55 points, and they are 28-point favorites.
Like you said, Virginia 2-3 on the road this year. Clemson, how about 22-0 straight up their last conference games? 18-4 against the number. This year, and they lost. Didn't they lose their entire front line to the NFL draft or something? Right? They lost a bunch of guys. All 12 opponents this year, less than 300 yards allowed in every game. So, and let's say there's whole disrespect at the top of this team. I mean, the last 6 games, 42. They're winning by an average of 42 points per game. I like Bronco Mendenhall, and maybe miracle wise, good luck here. 28-38. That's the Virginia Tech game. That was a lot closer. But, you see the final score is 39-30, but that game was back and forth. It was 30-30. They kicked a field goal with about a minute and a half, 2 minutes ago to go up 33-30. Then, fluke fumble in the end zone, and you got a 9-point win. It looks like you won a game going away. When it was anything but, that was a slugfest. So what do you got in the tank here for Clemson, who's just been mauling people? I mean, Travis Etienne, what was he got? 16 touchdowns, 8 yards per carry, Dixon behind him's averaging 6 yards a carry. He's got 5 TDs. And Lawrence, as slow as he's been, hasn't thrown an interception. He's got 16 touchdowns. His last 5 games, no interceptions, 30 TDs on the year with just 8 picks. And that was a slow start for him, too. He's gunning. But I'm laying it. I'm laying it 28.
Yeah, Clemson for me, I've watched a number of their games this season. Quality entertainment. It's always great to watch them. I mean, they're a fun team to watch.
I mean, it's a lot for a championship game, but they've just been that good. I mean, how do you think, how many points do you think Virginia's scoring with Bryce Perkins behind center? Do you think they're scoring 20? You think they got to at least 20 to be in this game? Because Clemson's putting up 50.
Yeah, so you're going to take the points.
40 to 50.
Are you taking the over on this?
I'm taking Clemson.
You're taking Clemson.
I'm taking Clemson because I don't think Virginia's going to get more than 10, 13 points. I think it's going to be like a 48-10 game. It's going to be one of those.
So we want to take
big lot. So
all right,
I'll lay the points and I'll go. Actually, a little bonus play here just for who's watching. It's not the end of the video show, but we'll do I'll do under 55.5 too because I don't think Virginia's scoring.
All right, nice. Quickly, we got the best for last: Georgia at LSU versus LSU.
Yes.
Excuse me. Georgia 11-1, 7-5 against the spread. Third straight trip to the title game last year. They lost to Alabama. They got owned, though, earlier in the season by LSU, who, quite frankly, are owning everybody. I mean, let's be honest. This is an incredibly good team. The second-best rushing defense in the nation, though, for the Bulldogs. They gave up only 68 yards per game. They need to win to go to the playoffs, so they've got a high bar because they're going to have to beat a 12-0 LSU, who just destroying everyone. They opened as 3.5-point favorites. That's now shifted down to 7.5. The over is 7-1 in the last 8 of meetings between these two. It's the total's 57. LSU, as I mentioned, opened at 3.5. It's now 7.5. Is there a play here?
I think so. I mean, listen, Georgia, if you want to take 7.5, I can see where you're coming from. This is what their third time here. They've been here, 4 times in the last 3 years in a championship game. It's not like they're strangers here. Maybe a slightly better defense giving up 11 points a game. But I don't know. LSU's just been such a juggernaut. How, again, we've talked about these teams. How are you getting in the way of an LSU team? I mean, they just 50-7 over A&M, and A&M's not that terrible. And you think that would be kind of let's go easy because we have a championship game on deck. No, 50-7, like it was taking the garbage out, like it was nothing. So listen, 4-7, the line tells you everything you need to know. Maybe the sharps are going to be on if you get that extra half point. I don't know. I think LSU's just been so good. Who has Georgia beaten? The fact they lost to South Carolina, you can't throw out a bad loss like that because he's great throwing to two receivers, but LSU shuts down Cage or the other kid, Pickens, and what's going on? Who are you throwing the ball to? We've seen Fromm just be average at best. Burrows has been awesome in Heisman.
All right, Higgy.
12-0. Listen, LSU's just having a Cinderella year. We're going to ride the Tigers here. Bengals to get it done over the Bulldogs.
Ride the Tigers. We didn't even have LT Gray, Tony Teller's on the show today, and we're riding the Tigers anyway. But, okay, Higgy Smalls, thank you so much. You can find Sean Higgs and all of his expert picks on our website, picksandparlays.net. Go ahead and load up your basket with all the experts that you want. Get 15% off. Use promo code HOLIDAY. All right, if you missed any of our picks, don't worry. When we come back, I'll recap them all.
Searching for the perfect solution to a good night's sleep, call now for prices and free information on today's Craftmatic adjustable beds. And then decide when you see how little they cost. Rated #1 by consumers nationwide on consumeraffairs.com. Craftmatic beds come in all mattress types, including cool gel memory foam for up to 50% less than today's leading memory foam brand. Enjoy temporary relief of low back pain, poor circulation, nighttime heartburn, mild arthritis. You'll sleep better in a Craftmatic adjustable bed. So if you're still searching for the perfect solution to a good night's sleep, call now for prices and information. And then decide when you see how little they cost. Discover Craftmatic for less, up to 50% less than today's leading memory foam brand.
Call 1-800-371-9608. That's 1-800-371-9608. Call 1-800-371-9608. Call now.
Are you an active stock market investor? Well, then you know these 3 key words: buy, sell, hold. Those 3 magic words can make or lose you money in the stock market. What if we can show you a time-tested tool that's been helping stock market investors succeed for over 30 years? It's called VectorVest, an amazing system designed to make smart investing easy. The VectorVest system analyzes, sorts, and ranks over 19,000 stocks every day and tells you when to buy, what to buy, and when to sell any stock to maximize your profits in less than 10 minutes a day. And if you call right now, you can test drive our amazing VectorVest system risk-free for 30 days for just $9.95.
800-584-2519. 800-584-2519. 800-584-2519. That's 800-584-2519. We are the Debt Destroyer Network. Any debt you have, credit card, tax, student loan debt, call now for free information that helps you destroy your debt. It's great advice. Plus, when you make this free call now, we have Debt Destroyer experts ready to help. They can show you how to destroy your debt and get your life back on track. Debt problems don't have to be overwhelming. You can live stress-free and debt-free. Credit cards, medical bills, IRS tax problems, even student loan debt. Learn about free programs offered by the credit card companies, hospitals, and even the government that can help slash your debt. Call the Debt Destroyer now for free information. Call now. 877-360-0402. 877-360-0402. 877-360-0402. That's 877-360-0402.
Welcome back to Picks and Parlays. I'm your host, Nick Geber. Find me on Twitter at Nick Geber. You can find us on the web at picksandparlays.net. If you've missed any of the picks from our experts that we've had on the show, we're going to recap them for you in just a second. It's a great time right now. Go get a pencil and paper if you have one. And if you're driving, do not get a pencil and paper. Okay, if you're driving and you missed any of this, you can find the replay on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or at the Believe Podcast Network, BLEAV. All right, we had three hat cappers today. We had Duffy talking NFL. We had Alex Smarty Pants Smarts with some NBA, and topped it off with Sean Higgs and some college football. Let's look at what they said. Duffy's NFL picks. Bengals at Browns, take the Bengals. Chargers at Jags, take the Chargers -3. Steelers at Cardinals, take the Cardinals +2.5. And then Smarty Pants NBA pick, 76ers at Wizards, take the under 234.5. Rockets at Raptors, take the over 230. And the Suns at Pelicans, take under 232. And finally, Sean Higgs, college football championship picks, Virginia Clemson, take Clemson -28. Georgia at LSU, take LSU -7. Miami v. Central Michigan, take Central Michigan -7. And Hawaii at Boise State, take Hawaii +13.5. And the over 64.5. Those are our picks. Once again, go to the website, picksandparlays.net. We have lots of free picks. If there was a game we talked about that you wanted to hear that we didn't cover, you can probably find it on there. But our experts have their extra insightful analysis and picks on just about every sporting event going on right now on the planet. Help yourself to those, and we're going to help you to it with 15% off. Go pick up your expert picks, put them in the basket. Promo code HOLIDAY right now, 15% off. Don't be a numpty. If you're betting on sports, do it with smarts. And if you want to do it with Alex Smart, you can do that as well. His expert picks are available, picksandparlays.net. All right, I'll be back with you tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 Pacific. We've got all sorts of fun stuff coming up tomorrow, so you want to stay tuned for that. And when you're going to bet, remember, bet with the best intelligence you can get, and you're going to get that at picksandparlays.net. And as always, bet, win, repeat.